there. Today is International Grenache Day, so to celebrate, I thought the best thing to do would be to try a decent Chateauneuf du Pape. I thought, well, really classic Grenache. So what I've done is I picked out a bottle of Domaine Pierre Usseglio's Cuvee de Mon Aieul. This is the 2017 vintage of that wine. Usseglio, very famous Chateauneuf du Pape producer. Chateauneuf du Pape, southern France in the Rhone Valley, the southern Rhone Valley. A region where the climate is warm, the conditions are good for producing concentrated, rich, ripe red wines. You'll find that the classic soil type there is a friable soil with large stones, gallet on the surface there, and the stones will warm up throughout the day and radiate the heat back at the vines, so that there's plenty of heat to ripen the fruit and to keep the vine active. This, as I say, is 100% Grenache. The Domaine make 4 different wines. The ordinary Chateauneuf is the Tradition, which is highly regarded. They make a cuvee of the two brothers, the Selection. They make this wine, which is Grenache produced from 3 different vineyards they have, where they have plots that are 80 to 90 years old, so concentrated old vines. And then in exceptional years they'll make a wine which they call This Is Not For You. They make a single barrel selection. Not trying that today, unfortunately, but the domain of my family, the cuvee of my family from Domaine Pierre Usseglio. This is Chateauneuf du Pape, traditionally a region where you can use any blend of 13 grape varieties, but for this wine they've chosen just Grenache. As I say, a combination of 3 vineyards to accentuate the fruit, which Grenache is famous for, the region is famous for. The vintage was dry, was concentrated, yields were low, fruit quality was good because it was a drought. There was very little rot or anything like that, so good clean fruit coming in. To accentuate that fruitiness into the wine, the wine is made. Fermentation was cooled, so the temperature was reduced slightly, which extended fermentation out to 30 to 40 days, depending on the plot, on the batch. So quite a long fermentation, but not too fast to ensure that aromas weren't lost. And then the wine has been aged in cement tanks rather than oak, so there's no oak factor covering the fruit flavours, just pure fruit. So, to try the wine, normally you'd think that Grenache is a fruity wine, quite high in alcohol, quite soft tannins, not particularly deep colour, although this is sort of quite a deep ruby. It's a more black red, not a purple rim that you might get with some New World versions of the variety. Smelling it, oh, that's a very intense aroma there, and very complex. There's red fruit, really ripe, dark red fruit, raspberry, loganberry, maybe damson, bullace, that sort of black red note there. Overlying that, there's a touch of sort of bacon fat notes, meatiness. There's an earthiness, but then what really cuts in is a sort of a licorice note, and I don't mean sort of sweet licorice. It's really quite an earthy, bitter licorice aroma. Maybe just at the top there, a hint of tomato leaf, often a pointer for Grenache if you're tasting blind. Tasting the wine and taking some air into your mouth with it as well, just to release the flavours. That's a powerful wine. It's again, it starts with the red fruit, but there's velvety textured tannin in there. It's full-bodied. It's got a richness, again, the earthiness comes through, and then there's a bitter licorice note. The structure, perhaps slightly astringent towards the finish. I mean, not a particularly astringent wine, but there is quite a lot of structure there that does sort of close up the back of the middle palate. Lovely long finish. There's a real freshness to this, and that's quite a nice feature of this, that the wine is powerful, and yet it has some real elegance. Actually, there's a lovely freshness to the finish, and the flavours are lasting really nicely. You don't notice from tasting it the fact that, according to the bottle, it's 15% alcohol. It doesn't taste particularly acidic, and yet it's lovely and fresh. So the concentration, the power of the fruit is bringing all those things into balance. It's a lovely wine. Really lovely complexity, and I suspect that a wine that you could come back to and really enjoy in sort of 10 years' time, when there's it'll probably, the red fruit will probably have opened out a bit, and then you'll have more complex sort of mushroomy forest floor sort of development notes, and probably more sort of some high-toned red fruit in there as well. But this is absolutely delicious. So wherever you are, I hope you enjoy International Grenache Day. Bye now.